Hello, I'm Ellie, this is Wes, and we're on my back porch, so that means that you're having another Eco-Ed with Ellie. For this lesson, we're going to be talking about disturbances and how they can impact the ecosystems around them. In the first video, I told you that longleaf pine savannas are maintained by naturally occurring forest fires, and they increase the diversity of the ecosystem. How is this possible? I don't know about you, but I watch way too much of the news, and I know that certain forest fires are really bad, like the ones that are happening on the west coast and over in Australia. So, how can a fire be good? Disturbances, like fire, can be beneficial for environments by adding variety to a landscape. It's like playing a game of Jenga with your friends. Obviously, if you smack the tower and knock it down, you ruin the game for everyone. But if you remove and change just parts of it, you'll create more fun for you and your friends. Similarly, a volcanic explosion is a huge disturbance and can wipe out entire ecosystems in one go. However, surface fires that creep through the understory of an ecosystem can actually create different spaces of diversity and variety in a landscape. Fire gives opportunities for new plants to grow while controlling others that might take over. In this way, it creates an environment where a variety of plants can coexist at the same time. To explore this idea further, we're going to do a simple activity that mimics disturbance. If you want to follow along, there are different instructions and handouts that are under the resources tab on the website. You're going to need 3 identical cups in order to conduct this experiment. I am using yogurt cups I got from my recycling bin. If you don't yet recycle and would like to with me, there are links to learn more under the resources tab that will be helpful information specific to your county in South Carolina. You will also need something to scoop dirt with, something to poke holes with, sunlight, water, paper, and time. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be poking holes into the bottom of our 3 identical cups. I have a couple extra here in case I mess up. And as a safety precaution, you may want to ask your parents or guardians to help you with this because adults tend to be better at these kind of things. Why are you being so judgmental? You don't even have thumbs. Oh, why the heck? Easy, easy. Oh, that'll work. Okay, so regardless of what Wes had to say, what worked for me the best were the scissors. But, as I said, for a safety precaution, please ask your parents or guardians to help you get some holes in the bottom of the cups that you're choosing to use. The reason we added holes at the bottom of our cups is because we're going to be using these to create 3 tiny little ecosystems. The next step that we're going to do is go out to our yard and scoop up some soil to put into our cups. After that, throughout the duration of our experiment, we're going to be occasionally watering and monitoring what's happening in these spaces, and if we didn't have the holes on the bottom, they would just get all soupy and gross. So, what we're going to do next is go out to our yards and we're going to scoop up some dirt and put them into our cups. By going out into our yards and digging up the soil, we just mimicked the disturbance in a very small scale way. We went out to our yards, shook up the ground a little bit, and confined it into these 3 smaller ecosystems. I told you this was an experiment, and experiments are all about trying to answer a question. Question number 1 is, will anything grow back in these 3 cups? That's too simple of a question, so we're going to spice things up a little bit by putting our ecosystems in very different places. Our first ecosystem will be put in a spot with direct sunlight. It's quite cloudy today, but my back porch is the best spot for this. Next, we will put an ecosystem in indirect sunlight. My kitchen window is small and only lets in a bit of light throughout the day. Our final ecosystem will be put somewhere with no light. My bathroom has no windows. After figuring out where to put your ecosystems, make sure you add some water. Plants need water to grow. Nothing will happen if you miss this step. Alright, so our experiment is trying to answer two questions. Will anything grow in our ecosystems following a disturbance? And if anything grows, where will it grow the best? The where being, will it be better in the direct sunlight, indirect sunlight, or having no sunlight at all? Best is not totally a scientific word, but what we mean here is which of these ecosystems will have the most plants or the tallest plants. Before we started setting up our experiment, the last thing I told you that we needed was time. We are going to be recording observations to see how our ecosystems change over time in response to our disturbances and the light that they receive. Use the instructions handout and the activity worksheet that is found under the Resources tab to create a data sheet and form a hypothesis. A hypothesis is your best educated guess of what you think the outcome of the experiment might be. Make sure to record observations along the way. These may help you explain the outcome of the experiment when it's all done. Your data sheet will look something like this. There's an example of this on the bottom of the instructions handout, but just in case I wanted to talk about it a little bit here. There will be 3 rows, each one showcasing one of your ecosystems. Then on the top there are going to be columns that are going to be highlighting the days that you check on your ecosystems. Make sure you mark when you water and make sure that you are watering as you're taking notes on your observations. This experiment will be best if you do it over 3 weeks at least, but you can definitely have some fluctuation in the time frame of when you conduct it. Well, now there's nothing to do but wait. Make sure you're watering and monitoring your ecosystems regularly, and I'll see you at the end of the experiment. Please watch the Disturbances debriefing video at the end of your experiment. Until then, feel free to explore the links under the Resources tab, and of course, have fun!